looking at other stuffs. We had my office, Save the Children, gave the day off in commemoration of Mental Health Awareness Week.
Oh, wow. Well,
and that everybody is burnt out. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I think about my mental health at least once a day, I think, these days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really crazy how you kind of just, like you said, worn down.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary.
So
Hi,
I took
everybody.
a nice long, I took my weekend walk on a Friday morning, which was nice, a nice long walk. And then we went and voted in person. So we were psyched about that. It was fun. I went with my son, and he'd voted in the primary, but this was his first time voting in an actual election.
What was it like there?
It's Virginia is early in person, so it's like you're going to a polling place, which all of you said you haven't done in years and years.
Not since I left North Carolina.
Yeah, so it's the courthouse has set up, maybe it was a relatively big room. It wasn't as big as a gymnasium, but I would say there were 10 people could vote at the same time. So you would go in and show your ID, and you get your ballot, and then fill it out, and then feed it right into the machine, the counting machine. So so it was neat. We had a bunch of ballot initiatives, so we got to read up on all of those, and we got lobbied on a state amendment one way or the next, yes or no on the way in. So it really felt like real voting. Like we came out and we were like super high energy, feeling good. So
in Virginia, do you just show up with your driver's license, or do you have to bring a voter's registration card?
You can just with your photo ID.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Well, but you still need a photo ID, but.
That's true. But I mean, I couldn't tell you where my voter's registration is.
Ours is on our refrigerator.
There you go. I remember in Oregon when they still had in-person voting, and I remember where it was. It was at like an old people's home, and I don't know why, but it was up on. It was not far from here. Anyway, I remember walking up there, and it was like, it was just so civil. And you walk in, and you go in behind the curtain, like kind of like Oz, and then you do your thing, and then afterward they had like cookies and punch.
I remember that. Yeah.
Remember that? It was just like,
yes.
Wait, it's almost
you
like
could get, yeah. There was the table where they had cookies on the way out, and it was always staffed by old people. I think when I went in North Carolina, it was in a, I don't know, it was in a gym or a school or something. Mary, what year did you move here?
I moved here in 90.
Okay, so I got here in 93. And so when did vote by mail begin? Right after
Not
you
long
arrived?
after that, because I was still living here in Portland before I moved back to North Carolina. Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I remember that place, and that would have been when I lived in my other house. And
yeah, I just always remember voting by mail here. I don't remember ever going to a polling place here. So anyway.
I got a sticker.
Oh, that's a big one.
Nice. Wow, that is a big one.
Yeah, I think I've told you guys that I'm doing all this texting, through this initiative called Frontline. And so I finally asked my son, I was like, I'm like when I text a couple of thousand on a 2 or 3 hour shift. So I said to my son, like, are you getting a lot of texts from people reminding you to vote? Because he's in that age category, right? And he's like, oh yeah, I get them all the time. And I was like, well, what do you do? And he's like, I don't know, I just ignore them because I'm going to vote anyway. I said, well, if you get one, hey Ziad, this is Laurel from Frontline. I was like, you better answer it.
Hey Ziad, it's Mom.
Yes, this is Laurel from Frontline.
Then for sure he would ignore it, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I don't get any reminding me to vote. I'm assuming you guys don't either, yeah?
I've been getting some different texts, but
have you?
I don't really pay any attention to them because I'm going to vote. I always vote.
It
That's
depends
fine.
on what my mood is, because I get.
Do you like to
more
engage,
of them
Mary?
Are asking for money
Mm-hmm.
than voting, but a fair number of them are asking for.
Just reminding you to vote.
But what I have been getting lately, and I've finally, with 12-hour days at the hospital, gotten down to, I think, 40 unread texts. Every day I get at least 2 or 3 that have nothing to do with voting. It's either to increase my dick size, to
You get that on text messages?
I get text messages.
Can you just write
I
stuff?
have called Apple, I've called my AT&T, and they say all I can do is go through this whole process. Every single text, I have to copy it, send it to this, no one gives a shit and won't do anything number. And then they say, thank you very much for, blah, blah, blah. Please send the number from where that came. So then I have to copy the phone number and put it in. It's very tedious and makes me very mad. But
I've never, that's the first time I've heard of something like that happening, spam on text for things like that.
I get phone calls, or I get phone calls too, but the texts will say, you have just gotten, chosen for who knows what, or you have, hurry up and respond to this because you have $5,242.79 in your account. Thanks so much for supporting us. Like, never identified, never, they're all caca. But
Oh, I'm sorry that sounds.
That's awful.
Ugh,
That's absolutely
yuck.
awful.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm on multiple times on every do not call, do not get in touch with me, don't waste your time. But clearly I'm on some list somewhere.
Huh. I mean, I just, nothing like that's happened to me, knock on wood.
Thank your lucky stars.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How is everybody? I've missed you all.
Yeah, it's been a while. You've just been working, Mary? Is that why?
Yeah.
Not just working, but you've had just been working? You've had more hours during this window?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 deaf people in the hospital on the same floor, which has never, ever happened.
Mm.
So we've had 3 interpreters with 12-hour shifts around the clock.
Wow. And all medical interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did get to spend a couple of hours on Monday with Kate, and that was really, really fun.
Oh, nice.
I have a stupid question for you, Mary. When you do the interpretation, do you wear one of those clear masks now? Because I've been watching some of the ASL interpreters on news shows, and you're so expressive with your face. And I was just thinking, like, how does that work when half your face is gone?
Not for medical interpreting, because they're not medical grade, but sometimes for a short medical appointment, if the deaf person lip reads, then I do. I have
like one of those shield ones.
No, I don't have the whole face shield. I do wear my glasses, and I am getting eye protection. I haven't gotten that yet, but I do have the clear face mask. But they're not medical grade, and when I'm in the hospital in the hospital for any length of time, I use as much protection and get home and shed all my clothes, leave them at the door, and take a shower.
And then the deaf person is really just looking at your hands at that point.
The jury is, yes, but the jury is out. I mean, there's a lot you can say with your eyes.
Yeah.
But the jury is out with those masks in terms of, it's not an assumption that deaf people read lips, although much more of what you say is visible on your face than on your hands. Because you can say, I love you, or you can say, I love you. And, there's very different, or, like, fuck you, which may be what you're trying to tell them. but yeah, so but the masks I have 3 different kinds of the clear on the bottom, and there's not a seal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see how that would be challenging.
But yeah, I mean the mask, it's interesting. Even nurses who are on COVID floors, you'd be just horrified at the lack of equipment and testing and everything that happens with people who are frontline right in it, which isn't, fortunately not yet has been me, but I was working this last week and a half with a deafblind person. So every single time in and I mean, all of the interpreting is done in their hands.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of close contact.
Yep.
I feel like my hands are like my skin is just I feel for the nurses. At least they have gloves on.
Right, because you're using so much hand sanitizer that
Bathe in that crap.
Yeah.
But that's not a stupid question at all.
Well, I was so struck by, I don't know if you saw the news conference that Governor Whitmer of Wisconsin gave.
I didn't see her, but I did see people posting about like, who was that sign language interpreter? She's amazing.
It was
like she sounds like she stole the show from the governor.
Yeah, she was very forceful.
Her body language was very forceful, and it gave me an appreciation that there are such differences in style, right? Just like you have a different tone of voice.
Absolutely. Let me ask though, what was the governor like? Was the governor, did that warrant her?
No, she was out of sync with the governor. The governor was very stoic, very, basically she's saying to the audience, and then these guys basically plan to abduct and possibly kill me. And the interpreter was very emotive.
Yeah, she was. It was pretty.
Not a very good interpreter. I can just say, because it's not about showing off. It's about accuracy of message and intent. But I didn't see it. I'm not criticizing. I'm just educating.
Yeah, you're telling us about your profession.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, James Taylor used to have an interpreter that traveled with him. And I mean, I've seen different performers with different interpreters, and she was great because he's pretty low key. But there are some other interpreters that it's sort of like, it just hurts your eyes. They're just so.
Well, I think what made this one interesting, and we should always find the video clip for you, Mary, and see what you think, because
I'll have to look at it.
I think she was expressing the rage and disbelief all of us were experiencing.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
That's being really.
Gretchen, I thought came across as like trying to be really brave and put on a really brave face for something that's fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
And her interpreter was expressing the outrage of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, her body language was always like, I can't fucking believe I'm having to sign this, but somebody just tried to kill this woman. I mean, she was very.
There are levels of interpretation, and she may have been interpreting her feelings rather than what she was saying. So. Yeah. Wow. No.
Well, I'm gonna watch it now, but yeah, that whole situation was horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I really, the Republicans' refusal to acknowledge the fact that the right-wing white men, extremists, they're the real problem. I mean, they are the problem. They're scary as shit.
Wait, was this
terrifying?
Like
yeah, they're armed to the gills. That's,
yes.
I mean, it's just terrifying. Yeah.
No, I literally have been in the hospital from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and in the life of a deafblind person. So
God, yeah.
I've not seen the news. other than hearing like 2 minutes of the vice presidential debate.
Mm.
I did watch the presidential debate and screamed. Kate and I had a little discussion about that.
I just wonder what's going to happen next week. I mean, every time that I've heard Donald Trump speak for the past like 2 days, and it's not been that often, he sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He sounds horrible, and he's still coughing. I mean, he is not well. He's full of shit if he's saying that he's not well. And I just don't, I mean, can you imagine if he had to try to yell at people for 2 hours at one of his rallies? I don't think he can do it. I don't think physically he's going to be able to.
Yeah, and I saw somebody on social media. I haven't listened to anything Donald Trump said. I haven't heard a clip of his voice, but somebody saying, and this is with him on steroids, right? So think about when he goes off of steroids, he's going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody see the
I found it, Mary.
very irreverent article that I posted on my Facebook page about the fly that sat on Mike Pence's head?
I didn't see the article about it, but I saw the fly.
Oh, I just posted something that I found on Slate that just made me just want to pee myself laughing because it was so funny. You know, it's from the viewpoint of the fly, and he's telling you why Donald Trump is so great and why he was on Mike Pence's head.
Oh, I heard the fly talk on my way to work the other morning. I didn't see it, but I heard one of the local radio stations. It may have even been Amy, I don't know, but the radio stations said they had a visitor, and it was the fly. And they were talking about
and they were interviewing the fly.
Why he chose Pence instead of Kamala Harris to land on, and that was about
Read
it.
the Slate article about the fly.
Okay.
It's very amusing.
I got something to do this afternoon. Woohoo!
You do.
You do.
Media to consume.
Along with the laundry and see if I can find the
Oh.
floor in my house.
Thank you for reminding me about that. I forgot. I'm really good at putting it in and turning it on, and then I kind of forget about it. And
Mm.
that's
That's what timers are for.
Oh, I turned the timer off on it's so loud. It's jarring, you know, when it goes off. It's like an air horn.
Wow.
Doesn't everybody need one of those?
Right.
Okay, well, shall we get going?
Do let's.